Wednesday, 10:12 a.m., Providence Municipal Court. A man stands at the defendant's table, his hands gripping its edge. His voice quivers slightly. "Your Honor, don't you remember me?" Judge Frank Caprio pauses mid-note, his pen hovering above the docket. He looks up, studying the man's face carefully. No recognition surfaces. Court clerk Ms. Bell glances up at the sudden silence. Timestamp 10:12:18 a.m. Judge. Caprio sets his pen down gently. "I'm sorry," he replies softly. "Should I?" The man exhales, a mix of hope and disappointment in his breath. "I thought maybe you would," he says quietly. "Because sometimes, memory is more than just the past. It's proof. One moment, one face, one story left unfinished. Tell us where you're watching from and subscribe to Case Closed, where every case reminds us that justice never forgets. Docket 2025 TR 5541, the City of Providence versus Anthony Duca. Charges: failure to maintain insurance, failure to appear. Fine: $320. Carla Nuwan, the Assistant City Solicitor, remains seated. Your Honor, this is a standard traffic violation. Mr. Duca missed his initial hearing in August. The city requests payment of the fine and associated court costs. Judge Caprio scans the docket sheet. Mr. Duca, you're here without legal representation? Yes, Your Honor. You understand the charges? I do. Then why did you ask if I remember you? Duca shifts uneasily. Because I'm not here just for the ticket. Then why are you here? To say thank you. Clerk Noon looks up. Officer Romano, the bailiff, straightens. Judge Caprio leans forward, listening. Mr. Duca, I appreciate your gratitude, but this is a courtroom. If you have something relevant to say regarding today's case, please do so. Otherwise, we'll move forward. It's relevant, Your Honor. It's the reason I didn't pay the fine or clear the FTA. I needed to appear before you in person. Judge Caprio's expression remains unchanged. That's not how the system operates. I know, Your Honor, but it was the only way I could think of. Timestamp 10 hours, 12 minutes and 41 seconds. Clerk's note, entered into case file 2025, TR 5541. Caprio lifts the file again, examining the name, Anthony Duca. How old are you? 42, and you said I should remember you? Yes, Your Honor. You sent me away in 1989. I was 15 then. You told me, I believe you can change. I did, and I never got the chance to thank you. Caprio goes still. He sets the file down slowly. 89. Yes, sir. Mabel, can we access juvenile records from 1989? Last name Duca, first name Anthony. Mabel turns to her computer and begins typing. About 30 seconds later, found it, Your Honor. Case number JV1112. From 1989, soft background music plays. Defendant, Anthony Duca, age 15. Charge, third-degree assault. Hearing date, July 14, 1989. Caprio reads from the sentencing notes, his own handwriting. Defendant acted in defense of a sibling under circumstances showing provocation, demonstrated sincere remorse. Detention is not condemnation. Recommend residential rehabilitation with an educational track. 6-month review upon completion. His signature sits at the bottom, youthful, steady handwriting. Words that have outlasted the voice that wrote them. Caprio looks up. Mr. Duca, I don't recall your face, but I do remember writing this. You wrote more than that. Your Honor, you said something to me before I left that courtroom. What did I tell you? You said, you're better than your worst day. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Judge Caprio closes the file. Did it make a difference? It saved my life, Duca replies. Ms. Nuwan shifts in her seat. Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt, but is this related to today's traffic case? Caprio raises his hand. Miss Nuwan, give me a moment. He turns back to Duca. Tell me briefly what happened after 1989. Duca takes a breath. I attended a program at St. Anoni's in Warwick. What started as 6 months became 8 because I wanted to finish my junior year there. I graduated high school in 1992. No more arrests, no further charges. What did you do after graduation? I went to community college, then started working for the city's parks department. I've been there 21 years. I'm married now with 2 kids. My son's 16. Caprio makes a note. Why return now? Because my son just joined the same type of program you sent me to. Different location, but the same model. At his intake meeting, they mentioned the program was based on a judicial initiative from the late 80s. I asked who started it. They checked. Duca's voice trembles. It was you. What began as an act of mercy became a lifeline. Caprio leans back. Mr. Duca, I'm glad the program helped you, but you're here today for failing to maintain insurance. We still need to settle that. I understand, Your Honor. I'll pay the fine. But I needed you to know what? That you didn't just change my life. You created something that continues to change lives, including my son's. Nguyen stands. Your Honor, may I request a short recess to review my notes? Denied. We'll proceed. Caprio looks to Bell. Miss Bell, do we have the contact details for the social worker who handled Mr. Duca's 1989 case? Bell scrolls through her files. Linda Perez, she's retired, but her phone number's still listed. Call her. Put it on speaker. Bell dials. The phone rings twice. Hello, Miss Perez? This is Miss Bell, clerk for Judge Frank Caprio at the Providence Municipal Court. The judge would like to speak with you about a 1989 juvenile case. Are you available? Yes, what case? Caprio leans closer to the speaker. Miss Perez, this is Judge Caprio. Do you recall Anthony Duca? 1989 juvenile assault, case number 1989 V112. A short pause follows. I remember the name. One moment, paper shuffle. Yes, I have it here. Anthony Duca, age 15 at intake. Placed in a residential program for 6 months. Completed successfully, returned to public school, and graduated on time. Do you recall the details? He intervened in a domestic dispute involving his younger sister. Used force to stop an adult male who was... She pauses. I won't go into detail, but the prosecutor agreed the charge was more technical than criminal. You recommended rehabilitation instead of detention. Outcome: he graduated high school in 1992 with no further juvenile record. I filed a closing summary recommending the case be sealed. It's all noted. Thank you, Miss Perez. May I ask why you're calling after 36 years? He's in my courtroom right now. He came back. Silence. Then she says quietly, tell him I'm proud of him. I will. The call ends. Caprio looks down at the file. Outcome: graduated 92. No further juvenile contact. He turns to Duca. Miss Perez says she's proud of you. Duca gives a small nod but says nothing. Attorney Nguyen rises. Your Honor, given Mr. Duca's record and the unusual background, the city is prepared to reduce the fine to $160 if he can pay today. Caprio raises a hand. Mr. Nguyen, I haven't asked for your recommendation yet. My apologies, Your Honor. Caprio turns back to Duca. You mentioned your son is in the program now. What's his situation? He made a mistake, like I did years ago. Tried to protect someone and got involved in something he shouldn't have. The court gave him a choice: the program or juvenile detention. I told him to choose the program. Did he? He did. He's 3 months in and doing well. You visit him every week. What do you talk about? Duca's tone steadies. I tell him what a judge once told me, that he's more than his worst day. History repeats itself when records remain unbroken. Judge Caprio lifts his pen, writes briefly, then sets it down. 5 seconds. 7, 10, 12. Each moment seems to compress decades of reflection. Mr. Duca, Caprio says, I have a question. Answer honestly. Why didn't you just write me a letter? I tried maybe 15 times over the years, Duca admits. But I never sent any of them. Why not? Because I didn't think you'd remember me. And if you didn't, the letter wouldn't mean much. It might have mattered a little, but I needed to say this to your face. Caprio nods thoughtfully. Ms. Nguyen, what's the city's stance on this case? Nguyen stands. Your Honor, Mr. Duca has no prior record apart from this traffic issue. He's employed, stable, and clearly dedicated to his family and community. If restitution is required, the city will defer to your discretion. Thank you, Caprio replies. Turning to Duca, he asks, do you have anyone who can vouch for your character? My supervisor at Parks. And maybe my former probation officer if he's still around. His name's Robert Hughes. Bell searches the records. Robert Hughes retired in 2018. We have a number on file. Call him, Caprio says. Bell dials. The phone rings 4 times. Hello, Mr. Hughes. Yes? This is Judge Frank Caprio from Providence Municipal Court. Do you have a moment? Judge Caprios, of course. What can I do for you? Do you recall an Anthony Duca? You supervised him in 1989 after his time in a juvenile residential program. Duca. Give me a second. A pause. Yes, I remember. Good kid. Had a rough start but turned things around. Stayed clean. I think he got a city job. He did, Caprio confirms. He's been with Parks for 21 years. That doesn't surprise me, Hughes says. He was a hard worker. What's going on? He's in my courtroom on a traffic case, Caprio explains. I'm reviewing the disposition. Traffic? That's all? That's all. Then I'll share what I told his probation board back in 1990. Anthony Duca is one of the success stories. Whatever decision you make today, keep that in mind, I will. Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Please tell him I said hello. I will. The call ends. Rehabilitation has no statute of limitations. Judge Caprio turns to Duca. Mr. Hughes sends his regards. Thank you, Your Honor. Duca replies. Mr. Duca, you mentioned writing letters you never sent. Do you still have them? One, Duca says. I brought it with me. May I see it? Duca reaches into his jacket pocket, removes a folded sheet of paper and hands it to Romano, who carries it to the bench. Caprio carefully unfolds the worn page. The creases are deep, the ink slightly faded. He reads it silently for a moment, then aloud. Dear Judge Caprio, you probably don't remember me. I was 15 when you sent me to a program instead of detention. You told me I could change. Everyone else had already decided I couldn't. You were the only one who believed in a kid everyone else had written off. I'm writing to tell you that you were right. I did change. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know. Respectfully, Anthony Duca Caprio refolds the letter and gives it back to Romano, who returns it to Duca. When did you write that? Caprio asks. 2003, 22 years ago. Why didn't you send it? I thought you wouldn't care. I would have cared, Caprio replies softly. Belief is a sentence served in reverse. He opens the current case file. Here's what I'm going to do. Failure to maintain insurance is a violation, and the fine is $320. But I can tell you didn't come here to avoid a fine. You came to close a chapter. Yes, sir, so here's my ruling. Caprio continues. The fine is waived. Nuance starts to speak, but Caprio raises his hand. In return, you'll complete 100 hours of community service as a mentor at the Providence Youth Center. You'll work with young people facing the same struggles you and your son once did. You'll report monthly to the court on your progress and hours. He pauses. You will write a reflection, no longer than 2 pages, on the topic of second chances and the injustice of forgotten mistakes. Submit it to the court once your hours are complete. It will be added to your case record. Duca's voice wavers. Yes, Your Honor. Justice is not forgetting, Mr. Duca. It is continuity. You learned something back in 1989. Now you are going to pass that on. I will. One more thing. No media, no interviews. Complete your work quietly. If I see your name in a newspaper discussing second chances, you will owe the $320 fine, plus an additional 100 hours. Understood. Debts are best repaid by giving back. If you believe second chances should count in court, subscribe to Case Closed so more stories like this can reach you. Caprio signs the order. Bell, prepare the service agreement. Mr. Duca will report to the youth center within 2 weeks. Monthly compliance reports must be submitted to this court. Yes, Your Honor. Caprio looks at Duca. Anything else? Just thank you. Don't thank me. Thank the program that kept you in school. Thank Mr. Hughes. Thank Perez. Thank your son for giving you a reason to come back. I will. Court is adjourned for this matter. Next case. Compliance log, months 1-6. Youth Center Director files monthly reports. Month 1. Anthony Duca reported February 3rd. Assigned to evening mentorship group, ages 14-17. Attended 4 sessions totaling 16 hours. Feedback: he listens, does not judge. Month 2. Total hours: 32. Duca led a workshop on accountability. Session notes: I told them what a judge once told me. You are better than your worst day. Month 3. Total hours: 50. Duca requested permission to bring his son to a session. Approved. Father and son co-led a discussion on family responsibility. Month 4. Total hours: 68. Duca assists with intake interviews for new program participants. Staff describe him as calm, efficient, and able to establish trust quickly. Month 5. Total hours: 84. Duca submitted a draft of his written reflection ahead of schedule. The director comments that it is honest, thoughtful, and humble. Month 6, total hours, 100, completed July 28, 2025. The final session included 17 youth participants. Closing remark from Duca. You are not defined by your worst moment. Neither was I. Ledger line, hours completed, reflection filed, case closed. Return to court, August 5, 2025. Anthony Duca stands before Judge Caprio once again. 3 teenagers sit quietly in the gallery behind him, attending on their own as participants of the youth center. Time, the judge says. Mr. Duca, I have your completion report. 100 hours reflection submitted. The director notes you exceeded expectations. I just showed up, Your Honor. That's more than most people do. Caprio holds up the 2-page reflection. I read this, he continues. You wrote about memory, about thinking I had forgotten you and how that absence affected you. Yes, sir, Duca responds. You also wrote that you realized it didn't matter whether I remembered your face. What mattered was that you remembered the principle. That's the lesson you took away. Caprio sets the pages down. Mr. Duca, I'll be honest. I did not remember your face when you walked in here 10 months ago. I don't remember most faces from 1989. But I remembered why I made that decision. And that's what you carried forward? Yes, Your Honor. I remembered the lesson even more clearly than you remembered my face. Recognition had arrived 40 minutes late, but 30 years deep. Caprio picks up the case file. Your obligation is complete. The fine is waived. The case is closed. But I want to ask you something. Are you willing to continue volunteering at the youth center? I already signed up, Your Honor. 2 nights a week. Good. Because the work isn't done. I know. Caprio gestures toward the teenagers in the gallery. Who are they?
Kids from the program.
They asked if they could come. Why? They wanted to see what accountability looks like. Caprio nods. They're learning from the right person. One of the teenagers raises his hand. Caprio gestures for him to speak. Yes, Your Honor, can I say something? Go ahead. Mr. Duca told us you gave him a second chance. He's giving us one too. Just wanted you to know. Caprio's voice is calm and steady. Thank you. What's your name? Marcus. Marcus, you keep showing up. That's how second chances work. Yes, sir. If this story moved you, share it. So someone else keeps fighting to be remembered. Caprio closes the file. Mr. Duca, this case is officially closed. You're free to go. Thank you, Your Honor. Duca turns to leave, then stops. Your Honor? Yes, I kept the letter. The one I brought in. My son read it and asked if he could write one too for his judge. Tell him to send it. Judges need to hear from the people they affect. I will. Duca leaves with the 3 teenagers. They talk quietly as they exit. Aftermath, 18 months later, the Providence Youth Center renames its mentorship program Second Chance Circle. Anthony Duca is listed as a founding mentor. Enrollment doubles in the first year. Judge Caprio adds a note to the court's training guide for new judges. Never forget faces, but if you do, remember the principle. Justice is personal, even when memory fails. The memo is filed under Ethics and Accountability. New judges read it during orientation. The program expands to 3 additional cities, each following the same core principle: you are better than your worst day. Anthony Duca never gives interviews, writes op-eds, or appears in campaign ads. He shows up on Tuesday and Thursday nights, talks to kids, and listens more than he speaks. In 2026, his son completes the program, graduates high school, enrolls in community college, and begins volunteering at the youth center alongside his father. Memory is fallible. Mercy is not. Moral close. 3 years later, during his retirement interview, a reporter asks Judge Caprio if he regrets not remembering Anthony Duca's face in 2025. Caprio responds, I regret it every day, but regret taught me something. Justice isn't about perfect memory. It's about humility and consistent principle. I forgot Anthony Duca, but I never forgot why I believed in second chances. The reporter presses further. Do you remember him now? Caprio answers, I remember the man who walked into my courtroom and said I saved his life. I remember the letter he carried for 22 years. I remember the 3 kids in the gallery who watched him complete what he started. Is that enough? It has to be. I forgot a face, but the face never forgot me. Years later, a package arrives at the courthouse, no return address. Inside is a framed photograph. Anthony Duca, his son, and 12 teenagers standing in front of the youth center. On the back, a handwritten note reads, "Your Honor, you asked if it helped. It did, it still does. Here's proof. Anthony Duca, 2028. The photograph is hung in the judge's chambers, not in Caprio's office, but in the shared break room where every judge can see it. Beneath the frame, a small plaque reads, "Memory fades. Principle endures." New judges often ask about the photograph. Senior judges share the story. The story spreads, and with it, the principle spreads. Anthony Duca never returns to court. His son never appears on a docket. The cycle breaks not because it was erased, but because it was redirected. Judge Frank Caprio retires from the bench in 2029. His final words to the incoming judges. Justice is not about being remembered. It's about remembering why we judge. You'll forget faces. You'll forget names. But never forget this. The person before you is always more than the worst thing they've ever done. He left the courthouse that morning, yet his story remained, in a photograph, a file, and the quiet legacy of a man who believed mercy could transform a life. 36 years separate a juvenile sentence and a traffic ticket. 2 moments, 1 principle, and a judge who never let justice lose its humanity. Because when Frank Caprio wrote in 1989, "Detention is not damnation," he was doing more than correcting a child. He was shaping a city. Those 4 words became law school lessons, courtroom echoes, and the guiding creed of every new judge entering Providence. Today, Anthony Duca is 50. He still volunteers, still shows up, still tells every young person who reminds him of his past, "You're better than your worst day." In his desk drawer, he keeps the letter that started it all, unscented, but unforgettable. Because justice isn't about being remembered, it's about remembering why we judge. This is the legacy of Judge Frank Caprio, where compassion became policy and mercy became tradition. This is Case Closed, where every story honors the man who proved the fairest verdict is always kindness.